The stampede rumbled through the autumn leaves of the frontier. Each tree was a firework of color. The Buffalo Bills Wild West Show and Congress of Rough Riders followed the old Packard. Or rather, the smell of cheese. By the time they crossed the weakening portal, it was too strong, and Josh vomited. They were in New Jersey. From the elevated city rail line, an endless pile of square buildings, warehouses, and empty dirt lots made up a city as if it were a haphazard pile of bricks. Wooden tinderbox hovels filled holes like fragile cobwebs, and blocks of neighborhoods were being bulldozed for parking lots and other urban renewal projects. The rusty signs used to say, "Progress," and "Re-elect Ryan." Bucktail Jackson caught Hamlin looking up at the silver sky with shaking fingers. Last time he left home with the Bills, he was in hot water over his head before they even got to Finworld. And once again, this clerk was serving as senior counsel for the entire organization. "What do you see?" "What?" asked Hamlin. Bucktail took his hand and clapped it. "You'll be fine, little man." "I asked you what you saw." "Contrails. Everywhere." As soon as motors stopped the 1800s train at the elevated 1960s platform, Hawkeye shouted, "Watch out!" A teenager in green scrambled up a 3-story pile of debris and tried to chuck a brick at their windows. He slipped, and it rolled down what was left of the Darnold Redevelopment Initiative. "Diggs, go!" shouted Josh of Allentown toward the rear carriage. Hollywood ducked into his cockpit, and 4-0 connected the helium hoses. The USS Goodyear for Mafia folk erupted into full shape and shot off the train in pursuit of the sprinting teenager through the alleys and fire escapes. "He'll lead us right into their fort," said Knox to Josh, realizing that Rodgers was no longer anywhere to be seen in the hundreds of cars. "And dignity," said Josh. Diggs caught him miles away and triggered a Whistler target. Josh of Allentown heard it from the peak of a nearby weather tower, the highest point he could find over the wharfs and warehouses. With loud pings, he attached the 3 pieces of his new sniper rifle to his firearm. The green and white wind cone flapped overhead. Behind the gunslinger's cowboy hat and stark silhouette was a wide gray river and the skyline of another city, dominated by twin towers. Josh fired. In one shot, Diggs' airship and Josh's new firearm had a tracker placed within 17 yards of another mob's Dignity warehouse. "Everybody move out!" Hours later, by the time they got back to the stampede, Josh realized his mistake with a sinking feeling. Right here and right here, he remembered Rodgers mocking. Yes, they had made excellent scores, but the stampede was parked in a city of tens of thousands of people, not some empty frontier or an abandoned battlefield. He didn't leave enough defense behind. No. The ornate train carriages were covered in graffiti. The windows were smashed with bricks and bottles. The dining car was smoking. Of course. Hamlin walked up to them, with heavy feet, head down. "I'm sorry, Josh. I couldn't keep it locked down." Josh dropped to a knee and held the teenager's shoulders. "Hamlin, this is all my fault." He pulled him into a hug, but scowled when he noticed that all of the tags were green and white. And they said the exact same thing. "What is a jet?"
"A jet is a jet, a duet of a threat, a roulette of a debt, quartet of a net."
One after another, a gang of teenage punks jumped into a choreographed dance in the middle of the road for all to see.
"You'll never forget that you met Jets, 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 jets."
There were dozens by now in green and white costumes with jet black hair slicked back. dancing with their elbows, kicking and jumping in the streets, verse after verse, with music coming from somewhere that Josh couldn't quite make out. It's kind of a catchy tune, had some well-timed acrobatics off a flagpole, and an entire block of people singing from the fire escapes. Then these jets walked fast and talked faster.
There's gonna be a rumble, guy. A rumble where? In the streets, where do you think?
Well, maybe in the sky this time.
Oh, we'll send the cows to the sky, all right.
And they burst out of a dumpster fire, knocking it over.
Here come the jets, we pilot the globe. We captain the streets, adding war to wardrobe.
They caught hats and canes out of the sky. Various bills kept up with the parade, others watched from cranes or blimps.
Here come the jets flying high in the sky, deciding who gets to live and to try.
The only blonde jet climbed up the backs of his gang to the top of a street sign on a pole, belting out some show-stopping notes.
You'll never forget.
He clutched the sign, kicked his feet to spin it down the pole like a wrench on a bolt, and ripped it off at the bottom.
Forget that you met.
The whole gang yelled and posed with the ripped Broadway sign held high.
J-E-T-S, jets, jets.
Hamlin smashed into the power pose of teenagers and drove the lead blonde into the pavement of Broadway. The clerk let out his fury and taught someone his own size a lesson in messing with the bills. He forced the jets who were watching, those duets of a threat, to grab whatever dignity they could and scatter into the nearby lots and shipyards. And he let the blonde kid go with a beautiful new black eye.
Get out of here before I sue you for damages. You can't sue me, you're a high schooler.
I'm a lawyer, punk. The lead singer ran a few feet away before yelling,
I'm gonna tell my dad.
4-0 flinched at the kid, over twice his size. And he drove himself into the ground before scurrying after his friends. Well, now he'll lead us to his dad's dignity then, joked Bowie Knox. Diggs, go, Josh shouted as he made for the weather tower.
Hey, a musical reprise, baby.
Diggs shouted in glee. This time, the Zubas airship sliced around the Statue of Dignity and managed to catch Josh's harpoon shot in an unusual place. Interesting, said Diggs to himself. Right over the airport. Suddenly, Hollywood's ship stopped midair. Diggs flew out, but stretched for a ribbon attached to a ribbon just in time and caught it over the edge. What are you doing? Josh shouted. Gardner Dawkins held the harpoon and as fast as he could pulled Diggs back, arm over arm, miles away. Out of the sky! Out of the sky! Why? Asked Utah Davis, coming down early from a glider. You hear the rumble? We aren't worried about some teenager's rumble, said Josh. We can take them. We need to get back whatever dignity was stolen off the stampede by these punks before it's too late. Out of the sky! It ain't the teens' rumble I hear. It's contrails! Shouted Hamlin, pointing up. They heard the entire city scream in unison. An F-106 interceptor jet ripped through the sky, green cutting gray. An M47 bomb fell from the contrails of the blonde brat's dad. Josh dropped and raised his firearm fast to shoot the bomb out of the sky. He fired. The bullet hadn't left the barrel before the bomb shattered the weather vane and knocked everything to the ground. When Josh stood up, his new weapon, his right arm, was on fire. Dawkins, Hamlin, and Doc ran in to save him. Josh still heard Diggs' whistler, and he knew there was still a chance. Never ever give up. He raised the flaming arm and fired a volley shot from the fire. It fell from the sky. Diggs was shot down. Even deeper was Utah Davis, giving a cry. The only bullet that hadn't burst was starting to boil in the chamber. Josh fired across the Gray River, one of the deepest volley shots he ever tried. But Davis's glider was shot down seconds before. Josh didn't shout, but screamed, a show-stopping note. And the fire brought pain.